Now, when it comes to working with roots and radicals, an expression is only simplified within a fraction if there aren't any roots or radicals in the denominator. Similarly, we can't have negative exponents, which we'll look at later. We can't have roots in the denominator of a fraction here. So for your examples, 2 over the square root of 2, this is not okay. So like above, we were talking about the pairs. If we want this to not be a root in the bottom, then we need to make it a perfect square root that we can then take the value of. So if we don't want this to be the square root of 2, if we just multiply it by another square root 2, that would give us the square root of 4, and we could take that value. But you can't just do that because that's what you want to do. You have to multiply the whole expression to a value that would be similar to 1. So we're altering the way it looks, but we're not ultimately changing the value of it. So on the bottom, the square root of 2 times square root of 2 would ultimately be the square root of 4. On the top, we can't combine them together, so it's just the number 2 times square root 2. So what will happen is, what does the bottom become? Just 2. And then you guys just want to check, can you reduce this fraction with those coefficients there? And in this case, you can. 2 over 2, or 2 divided by 2 is just 1. You can write the 1, you don't have to write the 1. Square root 2. You just can't have square roots in the bottom of that fraction. So for the second one, 4 times square root 5 over square root 6. Same thing. We're going to make that bottom a perfect square. So we're going to do the same thing to the top and bottom, equal to a value of 1. The bottom will now be just 6. 6 times 6 is 36. The square root of 36 is 6. On the top, 4 is on the outside. 5 times 6 is 30. So 2 things you want to check. Can you reduce the coefficients, or those whole numbers, of your fraction? And can you reduce what is in that radical? So in this case, 30 isn't divisible by 4 or 9 or 25. So that part is reduced or simplified, but 4 over 6 can be reduced to 2/3. You can't simplify something in a root with something not in a root. That's why we can only do the 4 and the 6, because they are like terms. So you always just multiply by that same number, but you're doing it to the top and bottom, to the numerator and denominator of your fraction. And then you just simplify from there.